It's 2:07 a.m. on a dark Texas highway, and the exit ramp is backed up. Not because of a crash, not construction. Because a stream of headlights is pouring toward one place, like it's a late-night event, a gas station. Except the moment you see it, that label starts to fall apart. The canopy feels oversized. The parking lot looks built for a crowd. Inside, it is bright enough to feel like morning, and people do not move the way they move through a normal fuel stop. Which raises the real question: what kind of business makes a roadside stop feel like a destination? Buc-ee's became one of the most influential travel stop brands in America, a private company that turned the most forgettable part of a road trip into the part people remember most. By mid-2025, public reporting placed Buc-ee's at roughly 54 locations across multiple states. But the real story is not the count. It is what the stores are designed to do to your attention. In Luling, Texas, Buc-ee says it operates the world's largest convenience store, 75,593 square feet. That is not a pit stop. That is a statement. So how does a roadside business reach that level of pull? In this video, we break down the 5 strategic reasons Buc-ee's became an obsession. From founder thinking, to operational trust, to mega scale, to food and merchandise. And finally, the brand defense strategy that made the beaver more than a mascot. Because Buc-ee's did not become powerful by accident. It became powerful by making one simple promise feel unusually reliable. It starts in 1982 in Texas with founders Arch Beaver Applin III and Don Wasik. No national cult status, no viral mythology, just a simple ambition: build a better stop than the next one. But Buc-ee's edge was never just convenience. It was psychology. On the road, travelers do not just buy products, they buy certainty. Certainty the restroom is clean. Certainty the stop feels safe. Certainty they will not regret pulling off the highway. That sounds obvious until you try to deliver it consistently in a business judged in minutes. Because highway brands rarely get a second impression. One bad stop can be enough. So Buc-ee's did not build its reputation around being the cheapest place to fuel up. It built around something more durable: trust before the customer even walked in. The lighting, the layout, the visibility, the staffing, the flow, all of it pointed to the same message: this place is under control. Even the beaver mattered, not as decoration, but as a signal, a memory shortcut on the highway. And once customers believed that signal, Buc-ee's could turn its most ordinary detail into its most powerful advantage. Here is the move that pushed Buc-ee's from successful to legendary. Its most famous feature was not fuel. It was the thing most roadside brands would rather never discuss: the bathrooms. For years, road trip restrooms were a gamble, and that gamble shaped behavior. People got in and got out. They bought less. They trusted less. Because if you do not trust the restroom, you do not trust the stop. Buc-ee's turned that weak point into a promise: you can trust us. In 2012, the new Braunfels Buc-ee's won Cintas's America's Best Restroom, and that was more than an award. It was proof the brand could market something most competitors treated as invisible. Now people were not just saying, "We stopped for gas." They were saying, "You have to see this place." That shift matters. So when your bathrooms become famous, your business stops feeling ordinary. Once Buc-ee's won trust, it could scale. And it did not scale like a normal chain. It scaled like it was building landmarks. The logic was simple: build bigger, attract more people, sell more inside, reinvest, then build bigger again. A major turning point came in 2003. When Buc-ee's opened a true travel center in Luling, Texas. Not a bigger corner store, a blueprint. Massive footprint, massive inventory, massive throughput. And that changes the economics of a stop. Because once the box is large enough, you are not just selling fuel and snacks anymore. You are selling meals, impulse buys, souvenirs, convenience, comfort, and time, all in one visit. On the highway, size can signal safety. And once a place feels safe and abundant, customers stop acting like they are in a rush. They browse. And browsing is where the model gets stronger. A normal gas station is designed to move you through quickly. Buc-ee's is designed to keep you inside just long enough for the basket to grow without friction. Then, the spectacle takes over. In Luling, Buc-ee's says it built the world's largest convenience store at 75,593 square feet. That number is so extreme, it stops being a statistic and starts becoming marketing. And once Buc-ee's proved it could dominate the stop itself, it moved to something even more valuable, making the stop feel worth remembering after the trip was over. Old gas stations sell necessity. Buc-ee's sells delight. And one of the fastest ways it broke the category stereotype was food. Because gas station food is supposed to sound like a compromise, Buc-ee's turned it into a brag. If someone says, "We had brisket at a gas station," it sounds ridiculous until you see the line. That surprise matters. If you eat something memorable on a road trip, you remember where it happened. That memory becomes a recommendation, and recommendations still outperform most paid marketing. Then Buc-ee's adds merchandising, walls of snacks, apparel, souvenirs, seasonal items, branded everything. That is the shift. The stop stops feeling functional and starts feeling collectible. And that is where the beaver logo becomes powerful. It leaves the building and enters everyday life. The customer becomes the billboard. People wear Buc-ee's hundreds of miles away, not because they forgot to pack clothes, but because the brand became a badge. And once a brand becomes a badge, protecting that symbol becomes as important as selling what is inside the store. Here is what many people miss. Buc-ee's did not just build stores. It built a symbol and then defended it like territory. In a major trademark dispute involving Choke Canyon, Buc-ee's won at trial in 2018. That mattered far beyond one lawsuit. It told the market that the beaver was not decoration. It was intellectual property. And legal enforcement does more than protect a logo. It protects consistency. So while the stores built trust and the food built delight, the legal strategy protected the identity connecting all of it. And once that identity was strong enough, the internet took over and multiplied it. And then the internet did what the internet does best. It turned the spectacle into distribution. First-time Buc-ee's reactions, food reviews, merch hauls, bathroom shock. The brand is almost engineered for social media. Bright, oversized, slightly surreal, instantly recognizable. The scale is content. The product walls are content. The mascot is content. Even the restrooms become content because they break expectations so hard, people feel compelled to prove it. That is the real lesson here. Buc-ee's did not win by reinventing gasoline. It won by engineering trust, scale, delight, and identity so consistently that a roadside stop began to behave like a destination. And once that happens, you are no longer competing with other gas stations. You are competing for attention, memory, and ritual. So what do you think? Is Buc-ee's a masterclass in operations or the most entertaining retail distraction ever built on the highway? You've watched Triumphs and Troubles. Subscribe to the channel for true business stories and comment, which company should we cover next?